Oh, I'll just go watch one video from Legion of Men. Men and women are not okay and will all head for population collapse. Actually, yeah, that's true.
Welcome back, guys. I have an episode here that says my country is choosing extinction. Korea. Get into it.
My country, Korea, is collapsing.
So
Many
we've
foreign
heard.
experts says Korea will face demographic collapse within the next 50 years. But almost no one understands why Koreans stop having children. Now, as a Korean insider, I'm going to dig into the pants. No more sugarcoating, no more excuses.
I know, the topic of Korea's birth rate is more boring than a Kevin Hart movie. A lot of YouTubers have covered this. But here's the thing, most of them are outsiders looking in. Just like only Asians can use the word Ching word, only Koreans can properly criticize Korea. Through these 3 questions, I'm going to expose the dark, twisted truth of Korea that everyone's too scared to talk about. First, how shitty is it to live as a working adult in Korea? Second, what does raising a child here actually require? And last, the children who are disappearing from this country. What kind of life are they growing up in?
그냥 뭐
26-year-old
큰
loser.
이유는 없는데
What the hell?
나도 하고 싶은 거 다 못하고 사는데 왜 하고 싶은 걸 못해? 퇴근하고 하고 싶은 거 다 하면 되지. 이거 안 좋지? 일할 때 안 생각하고. 일할 때?
To answer this, I decided to live it. I visited the house of my friend who lives the core area of Seoul. He is a devout Christian and a huge fan of Harry Styles. Despite that, I like this friend very much.
여기가 월세 1,100만 원짜리 집을 한번. 이게 다야 그러면 공간이? 여긴 옷 넣어두면 되고 여기서 좀 밥 드시고
Damn.
여기 침대. 여기서 뭐
오케이.
업무는 여기서 이게 냉장고야 그러면? 이게 밑에 냉장고. 250. 근데
Should have went pro in StarCraft, bro.
100만 원 월세 이거 내고 그럼 사실상 돈 모으기는 좀 힘들겠네, 그지? 그럼 뭐 따로 결혼 자금이나 이런 거는
Now, let's indirectly experience Korean office workers.
The hell? What the hell?
Koreans call the subway during rush hour Hell Train. It's not a metaphor, it's just a normal Tuesday.
The life of an ant. Shit.
하겠다. 다음 거 다시.
Just as all the world's problems began in Europe, all of Korea's problems were created by urban overcrowding. In my opinion, this country needs to collapse.
God.
Man.
Is it better in the modern world? I get we have a lot of great things, right? We have electricity, plumbing, running water, things that were very hard to come by. Stores are stocked with food, endless entertainment for your choosing. Yeah, life has become more comfortable, but is it a better life, right? There's the difference between being comfortable and having a better, higher quality of life. Maybe a little bit of discomfort actually makes you have a healthier lifestyle, makes you more resilient. If the modern world that we're living in across East and West is causing civilizations to decline and collapse, and animals do not want to reproduce, we have a systemic problem across the modern world in how we've structured civilization. It just lends itself to death. If you ask this question and go, well, what could be the problem? In the West, people cling on to Christianity. We're not religious anymore. In the East, people cling to traditions. We're not traditional anymore. And neither of them get to the core problem of the issue, which is corporations. We live in a society, you can call it capitalism, quasi-capitalism, corporal capitalism, corporal oligarchy. You give it whatever fucking name you want to give it. Our societies, East and West, prioritize profit, money. The incentive is short-term, quarterly, how to extract wealth and as much of it as possible to the point where you commodify life itself. And when you commodify life, it's no longer fun to live. So you don't want to reproduce. Every aspect of society today has a dollar sign attached to it, and people feel like they're cattle. Like they have a tag number on their ears, and they're forced to march in and out of the office, and then go into the gym, and then pay the subscription fee for your movie, and the subscription fee for your video game, and whatever else. And your life is constantly on a subscription pay-to-go service, pay-to-live service. This is why there's like a counterculture growing of people wanting to disconnect and get away from the city. And really what they're saying is they want to get away from the rat race, from being trapped like cattle in a meaningless life that actually you have no impact on anything, and nobody even, you're just a number at your company. You've never met your boss. They don't even know you exist. Companies get rid of you when it makes sense to their bottom line. This kind of existence, and there's like brutal competition where it races to the bottom. So who will ask for less money while doing the most work, and companies expect you to sacrifice for them. And that kind of expectation is not expected of them. They don't return it in kind. So, okay, East and West were both going down. Two advanced civilizations, Asian and white. The rest of the world's obviously not doing well either. Even India is below replacement now. So it seems like no matter where you reproduce this system, and no matter what people, it leads to them having a below replacement rate. And if that keeps up, eventually they disappear. So we need to have a conversation about the corporate dystopia that we're living in. They've eaten our democracies. They've eaten our governance. They rule our cities. They rule our politicians and pay for their campaigns and exact ungodly amounts of influence on them, to our detriment, to the detriment of the long-term success and health of a country, a nation, a people, a family. And you're left with this. You're left with corporations that make hand over fist money, influence the government, further get deregulated, concentrating more and more power at the expense of the citizens. Can you call this a republic anymore? America calls itself a republic. It's hardly a republic. Maybe a republic of corporations, because the corporations have all the power. They're imbued with every benefit of legislation, and you're not. So you can't even sue vaccine makers. Isn't that crazy? For injuring you. There's a million other things like that. That's just one of the last examples that people know very well about. So why would you want to have kids? Why would you want to put into the system? Why are men checking out? Why does it feel so hopeless? Look at the average life of the average man. Look at this guy's life, dude. I'll let it play out.
I'll be honest with you, I was working in a very good working environment for this shoot. I once jokingly reported my younger sister as a communist, so I know. Korean companies definitely use the same lighting as interrogation rooms. And some bosses treat their employees the way Hollywood treats Asians. They don't give a shit. By the end of the day, I had zero desire to go outside, no energy to date anyone. At that moment, even Sydney Sweeney wouldn't have been able to keep me awake. Maybe Taylor Lautner, though. Then, how about living by using a car? Today we're going to experience the daily commute from Seodaemun, where housing prices hit the Seoul average, all the way to the office-packed district of Gangnam. Of course, if I had a BMW, I wouldn't be doing YouTube. I was with my friend on their way to work. Officially, this is a 90 road, maybe 100 if you're pushing your luck. But during the commute, you can't even hit 10.
너네 회사에도 근데 웬만하면 다 지하철 타고 가잖아. 출퇴근. 차 타고 가는 사람 거의 없죠.
To the right.
지하철은 그래도 시간이 확정돼 있어.
Rich loser.
14 kilometers in 1 hour. The most useless thing in the world is a car in Seoul. And the British royal family. Then this question follows. Why not just not live in Seoul? Live somewhere else? But Korea's major companies are all concentrated in Gangnam or Jongro in Seoul. And housing prices in these areas are so ridiculous that New York looks reasonable. Unless Korean young people accept every job like Chinese TikTokers, it's not easy to get a job outside Seoul. Okay. Now, let's say we solve the money problem entirely. Hypothetically, economic anxiety, gone. What then?
네, 횟수로는 10년 차고요. 만 한 8년 정도 됐어요.
친구분들이나 이런 분들께서 아이를 낳지 않으시는 분들도 많으실 거 아니에요. 그분들이 아이를 낳지 않는 가장 큰 이유가 혹시
Why doesn't he have kids in
어떤
his friends?
거라고 생각하시나요?
기본적으로 약간 내 삶이 중요하니까.
아, 본인
Personal life comes first. That's the truth, man. Hey, I know a lot of men pine for the traditional lifestyle. I think it's time to accept, even if you earn money, times have changed. The people are different. You cannot reproduce the traditional lifestyle with the average modern woman. You just
cannot.
can't.
No,
They are
you can't.
completely distracted and manipulated by and influenced by social media, TV, their friends that are out there hoeing, all that kind of shit. You really can only bypass any of this shit by meeting a weirdo, introverted, somehow uncorrupted woman. Where do you find that? Just saying. So if people are taught to be selfish first, career first, and oriented towards me, and what I get out of this, there really is no point in marriage. The only reason I did was because my family and my fucked up ideals of, or my idea of trying to reproduce that, because my household was one of the rare successful ones. Had my parents been divorced and everything, I would have never. So that's the only reason. Don't be like me, is what I'm saying. I am in a weird position where I make multiples over the minimum, and I'm in the 1% of earnings or whatever the fuck I qualify for. Like I said, marriage is going to be a luxury only, if it isn't already, for wealthy people that could afford to basically cosplay the 50s, because that's what it is, because you don't actually need to go back to the 50s. You don't need to. For me, when I say the 50s, is what I saw my parents, where they were out in the backyard planting crops, making wine at home, making moonshine, pickling vegetables and shit like that for the winter. And we actually lived off the land, a substantial amount of it we produced at home. For the people that are trying, that in America now represents homesteading, which is a luxury. It's cosplaying. You're LARPing as what people used to do out of necessity. And in what was a necessity has now become a luxury. So what is the point of it all anymore? To be completely fucking honest, dude, there really isn't. There really isn't. In the modern world today, it's a raw deal for pretty much every man. It only works if you're trying to maintain the traditional image and lifestyle, because you might come from a more traditional household or society. And even then, it's not easy, because you have to meet a woman that's like-minded from a like-minded family. Where the fuck do you find that in the modern world today? It's hard. I'm not going to play and tell you, go out there and get you one just like me. Dude, it's a fucking joke, because everybody wants a career. Everybody wants to be the main character in their story. Nobody wants to work together. Men and women in America have a combative nature adversarially toward each other, at each other's throats. It's a competition. It's no longer working together to build something. It's what you can take out of the other person, and who gets more wins. You know, like the simp epidemic we have today. All
pretty much.
society in the modern world is structured to extract from both people. And because it's so extractive and it's so manipulative and exploitative, that you have to, by default, exploit the person that you're with, right? Because society exploits you, and then you have to exploit the person around you, the people around you, by default, to survive. And it instills those values in you. This is why we say society today feels corrupt, valueless, degenerate, because that's what it's representative. That is what it pushes on people, because the society itself is that. So by default, when you meet somebody today, they have an exploitive mentality towards you. How do I get something out of you? Does that make you feel attracted to the other person? Does that make you feel good? Does that make you feel wanted? It's like, but that's the default. I told you guys, we're going to head to a future where like sugar daddy, sugar baby relationships, transactional relationships in nature are going to be fully accepted out in the open, straight up. And they won't be shamed anymore. And it's going to be actually expected that is the norm. And that if you're not paying for it in some way or another outright in a transactional nature, then you don't deserve me as a woman. Really, prostitution is just going to be standard. By standard, I mean like every single relationship is transactional in nature up front. There was a price. And society is going to try to deem this the new norm. And those at the top will take advantage of all the money that they earn. And so they're going to try to make it a new cultural norm and just be like, yeah, bro, of course I could afford 5 women. I pay each of them like 10 grand a month. Duh. It's what a man is supposed to do. We're going to completely redefine what it means to be in a relationship. I guarantee you we're headed down there. And women are going to be taught to absolutely sell themselves to the highest bidder because the society's already exploiting both of you. So you have to make the best of it, right? And survive. It's a fucked world. Why is the population collapsing? I don't know. Maybe conservatives haven't conserved a single fucking tradition since like the 50s?
인의 삶을
그쵸,
더
그쵸.
중요시하는
예, 그러니까
그런,
이제 다른 아이를 낳게 되면 어쨌든 아이들한테 들어가는 에너지나 시간이나 뭐 비용적으로도 그렇고
네.
그런 것들이 이제 많은데
그거를 이제 조금
그래서 이제 그거에 대한 어떤 희생을 해야 된다는 그런 부담감? 그런 게 이제 제일
가장
크지 않을까. 네.
혼자서 그냥 내가 즐기면서 살겠다 이런 사람들이 조금 더
Then, what were the older generations in Korea like back then, before the birth rate started to drop? In 50 years, Korea went from one of the poorest countries on the planet to one of the richest. GDP per capita increased 350 times. The military regime's policies at the time certainly played a role. The state pushed the narrative that national wealth was the only path to strength, and the older generation grew up with the belief that their personal sacrifice was the foundation of the country's progress. It fostered a spirit of working for family, neighbors, and the nation, even at the cost of one's own self.
아이를 키울 때 가장 힘들었던 점이 어떤 거에 있으셨어요?
없었어.
없으셨어요?
난 해방둥이야.
네네.
지금 80 하나야.
네네.
그러면 그 당시는
네.
자네들은 모르지만은 얼마나 어려웠어. 우리 6.25 때 끝나서 꿀꿀이족 알죠?
네네.
그거 한 그릇 먹는 게 소원이야.
네.
그래 요즘에 건방지게 정치고 뭐고 나발이고
네.
짬밥도 끓여가지고 안 처먹으면 그냥 대박 차갑게 하고 싶으면
네.
편하게 일을 해야 할 거 아니야.
네.
근데 그거를 도와줘야 할 놈들은 우리 놈들인데 그걸 다 가로막아가지고 돼 있어. 안 돼.
그 환경이
네.
지금같이 복잡 다양하지 않고
네.
단순한 환경이었어요. 그래서
네.
애들을 건강하게 건강하게 키운 것이 제일 목적이었고.
The fuel was a specific combination, Confucian collectivism mixed with raw capitalist hunger. But somewhere in that transformation, something broke. The sacrifice mentality didn't disappear when the poverty did. The competition didn't stop when everyone had enough to eat.
애를 안 낳는 게 아니라 너는 매일 결혼하기 싫은데 결혼하기 싫다며.
뭐 똑같은
Another loser.
애를 낳으면
Holy shit.
지출이 70%.
Dude, they are rough out there on the east.
그렇지.
They say women over 25 are leftover women. 25 years old. Jeez.
부모님은 사실 나 혼자 살고 내 하고 싶은 거 다 하고 살 수 있는 직하게 말해서 희생을 하기 싫은 것이 혹시 한국 남자는 어쩔 수 없이 희생해야 되는 게 맞잖아.
그냥 경력 단절이나 그리고 여자들은 대기업이면 모를까 경력 단절 자체가 크게 느껴지거든요. 회사가 작을수록.
So it's not just money. Even people who have enough still say no. And honestly, it's hard to argue with them. Because the life they'd be giving up is the first generation of Korean life that actually has some breathing room in it. But let's put all other issues aside for a second. Let's just forget about everything else and imagine they have a child. What is life really like for parents and children when it comes to raising kids in Korea? We've invited a Korean parenting expert to dive deeper into this issue.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Before we begin, what's your name again?
Just call me Dr. Kim.
Very Korean. Okay, Doc. If money is the problem, doesn't Korea's welfare budget cover that?
Do you have any idea how much it cost after the chip actually born?
Don't ask me, just say it.
It's about $800 a month.
There's no way my mom spent that much on me.
Yeah, it shows.
In Seoul, the cost of raising a child is heavily influenced by school districts. Better neighborhoods demand higher tuition for elite education and much higher rent. Naturally, parents want to provide the best possible environment for their children's education. This is Daechi-dong, the epicenter of Korea's academic fever. Every season, parents line up since dawn just to secure a seat in a star teacher's class. For context,
Wow.
this guy's annual salary is even higher than Travis Kelce's.
What the fuck? That's crazy. A teacher's making 22 million? Okay, I've always said that teachers should make far more money and they should be treated as stars, good teachers, because they're raising the next generation. That's crazy. 22 million? Fuck. I can't disagree with that. I think that's good if you're a teacher that good. But can't we decentralize the education? Now you have superstar teachers. Why not make their classes available online for everybody so everybody could learn from a really good teacher? Why is everything turned into a commodity, man?
The city built these booths for student health, but all I saw inside was students studying.
바로 가가지고
학교가 한 몇 시에 끝나요?
4시쯤에 끝나.
4시에서 4시 반.
네, 독서실에 잠깐 들려가지고 밥 먹은 다음에 이제 학원 가가지고
그러면 몇 시까지 어디서 보통 공부를 하세요?
한 5시에서 6시까지 그냥 그 독서실 같은 데 가가지고
5시에서 6시까지?
네.
그러면 6시 끝나고 이제 집에 가는 거예요?
아니요, 그럼 이제 학원 가죠.
6시 끝나고 학원을 가서 학원에 가서는 몇 시까지?
보통 10시.
Holy fuck, dude. This kid's in school basically from like 5 in the morning to 10 p.m.
끝나고.
네.
지금 두 분이 혹시 이제 행복하신지 마지막으로 여쭤보고 끝내겠습니다. 행복하십니까?
그렇게 행복하진 않죠.
그렇게 행복하지는 않죠, 아무래도.
Fuck.
Shut up. It's not that Asian students are uniformly unhappy. The idea that all Asian kids are either anxious and suppressed or naturally gifted geniuses is nothing more than a lazy Western stereotype. I once lost my entire fortune in a poker game to a 3-year-old Chinese kid, but that boy was special.
And especially in Korea, most competitive education districts. Do you know how much parents are paying every month?
I said just fucking say it!
At least $900.
저 이제 중1이요.
중1이에요? 그러면 보통 학교는 언제 정도 끝나시는 편이에요?
저희 한 3시 정도에 끝나는 거.
School ends at 3.
그러면 학원은 몇 시에 가세요?
Then they go to a private institute.
그럼 5시에 가서
5
몇
to
시에
6.
학원이 끝나나요?
10시 정도.
10시에.
Ends at 10 p.m. Oh my god.
네.
5 days a week.
As you can see, Korean children's daily routines were more grotesque than the Tiger music videos.
절출산 문제가 해결이 될까요?
남녀 평등?
남녀 평등? 그럼 결혼의 생각이 왜 없을까요?
그냥 혼자 사는 게 되게 좋은 거라고
They like living
But
alone.
they were very bright and smart kids. At that age, I gave Scrub Daddy as a birthday present to my mother. Okay then, why are Koreans so obsessed with education to this extent? In Korea, the university you attend determines which community you belong to, which company you join, and what your next 40 years will look like.
It's like a caste system by the college you go. Incredible.
That's why both parents and kids feel like getting into a good university is the only way. Some students in Gangnam even take ADHD medication to improve their focus. Their parents get the prescriptions for them. It is
Of
the same
course.
context as teenagers in the hood dealing drugs to become great musicians. They compete for good universities, then for good jobs, thinking that at the end of the tunnel there is a good life. That may be true to some extent, but a society where you compete from 13 to 20 only to face even more competition is definitely not the right place to love.
남과 비교하는 문화도 저는 한몫하는 것 같은 게 사실 아이를 키우려면 이 정도 재산이 있어야 해, 결혼하려면 이 정도는 있어야 한다 이런 기준이 점점 높아지고 있다고 생각하거든요. 땅은
Are she said the standards are getting too high, the culture of comparison. Is it though? Because this is another problem. This is one of the main problems we're having. Our governments are printing our money. Our money are not backed by hard assets, so they have a stop to the amount that they could print. The dollar, since the creation of the central bank, has been debased something like 90+%, 98% of the dollar's value has gotten wrecked. So things naturally, if we live in not a debt-driven economy, naturally things should be getting cheaper because manufacturing gets more efficient. Technological advances make production more efficient and cheaper. And up until about the creation of the central bank, that was the case, that everything that had come before then was getting orders of magnitudes easier to produce and cheaper to produce. And you can produce more in much larger quantities due to industrialization. And then we started printing a fuck ton of our money, constantly debasing our currency, and things were getting more expensive. And the currency was becoming cheaper and worth less versus assets. And so your dollar bought less assets. And now this has been going on for the better part of like 100 years. And now your dollar doesn't buy almost any asset. Actually, your salary is, from their video here, what was it in Seoul? 25x? 25x to be able to earn so we're not going to buy houses, boys, in our lifetime is what I'm trying to tell you. It's that simple. because they made the dollar worthless. And they keep printing it. You want to know how they keep printing it? Well, imagine this. Trump gets in the office. He's supposed to cut the budget with Doge by $2 trillion. We're supposed to be on our way into a surplus. Then they asked for $1.5 trillion, a $500 billion increase in the Pentagon budget, plus another $300-something billion for the Iran war or whatever else. Extra expenditures on missiles and weapons. Okay, and how much did you cut the budget by with Doge? Like $100 billion, if that. And Congress didn't codify the cuts. And the USAID money they were supposed to cut just moved to the Defense Department. So they're asking for more money. So they're printing more dollars. So they haven't learned since COVID. They haven't learned since the last 60 to 100 years. They haven't learned. Do you want to know what happens in the future? The house is going to be more expensive. Again, they're not coming down. Cars will cost more money. You will work for less and less. I know it says you're making $60,000, $70,000, but really you're earning like $20,000 in real terms versus assets. That's what it actually feels like you're making. How the fuck do you come out of college and you are making $70,000 a year and you need a roommate? Does that sound right to you? This world's insane, dude.
좁은데 뭐 서로가 서로를 너무 잘 알기도 하고.
So yeah, the standards, it's not even that standards have risen. It's the standards have fallen so much that what was standard, a house, some land, a man being able to afford a family on one income, that is a luxury now. Like fucking luxury farming. Okay? It was a standard that you got a house and tons of land and you subsisted off of it. And now you can't even afford a shoebox apartment.
Then why not just love each other and live together? Get married, but no.
Would you marry someone like you? What's your job? You got a car?
Get out.
That a fucking bike or what?
Get out. No. Don't talk with my... Get out. Get the fuck out. Get out!
So, we end up with people who are masters of competition, but strangers to unconditional love. Competition leads to comparison, and comparison makes our choices purely rational and calculating. But love is not a performance metric. Marriage is not a result that can be optimized. Having children is of course the same. It is a choice made by emotion, not reason. These generations inherited the prosperity, and apparently also the bill.
지금 뭐 우리 주변 아버지들만 봐도 가족들 얼굴 잘 못 보고 일만 해서 이제 경제적 지원만 해주는 그런 삶이 사실 눈에
Rarely saw my father too. He's working all the time.
보이잖아.
그치.
그러니까 뭐 사실 우리라고 해서야 뭐별 다를 바 있냐는 것입니다.
But what you must understand is that whenever Korea is in crisis, Korean citizens miraculously band together and face the situation with razor-sharp focus, and blame each other until suicide.
아이를 낳으실 생각이 있으실까요? 저는 있어요. 결혼을 하고 싶은 생각이 있어요? 네. 애도 낳고 싶고.
Same in the West. All the men are saying yes, and the women are like, nah, I'm good. I want to be a boss, babe. Yeah, society's cooked, dude.
지금은 있는데 나중에는 뭐 해소가 될 것 같다고 생각.
시대가 지나면서 해소가 될 것 같다.
뭔가 인식의 변화? 그런 것들. 그러니까 저도 이제 어쨌든 아이를 가지게 되고 낳고 보니까 너무 행복하고 되게 많은 기쁨을 주는데 그거를 사실 경험해보지 못하면은 모르는 일이니까 그런 거에 대해서 조금 인식이 바뀌면 충분히 뭐
I don't think the real story is that Koreans just don't want kids. I think a lot of people do, but somewhere along the way, those things stopped feeling like a dream.
Yeah, it's the cost of everything. Look, dude, if everybody got, if prices stayed the same, right, and everybody's salaries was minimum $250,000 a year, just imagine that, a stupid thought experiment. Everybody now, I give you $250,000 a year in salary. Everything else stays the same. Houses are still $400,000 to $20,000 on average, the median income, or the median housing cost. Gas is the same, whatever it is, $3-4 wherever you're at, up to $5. Everything else, pricing of groceries, clothes, all that shit. And you just make $250,000 or more. That's it. Nothing else changes. Literally nothing else. We got the same bullshit on TV, the same culture war, the same everything. How much better do you think society would be immediately when people's basic needs would be taken care of by the jobs that they're currently working at? Just a dumb thought experiment. How much of our problems do you think stem from that survival mode everybody's in, from not having livable wages, affordability in the cities that they're forced to be in because they have to be close to their jobs? And the jobs are only in the big cities because that's where economic power is concentrating. You're not going to make it. You're not getting a good paycheck in the middle of fucking nowhere in the boondocks. So you're forced into a place that spends everything you earn, so you have nothing left over. Now imagine if you had excess left over. How many people would be starting families, getting married, having kids, not stressing about kids, anything of that nature? Accidents don't feel like accidents anymore. You could afford it. Check engine light on your car, not a problem. You already have a property. You're working on another one. Perhaps you got yourself a boat. Your woman is coming into this arrangement practically with a fucking dowry. She's got her own money, making a ton. Both of you combine your incomes. You get a big fat house, much bigger than what both of you would normally get being by yourselves. Life looks really nice together, actually. Your spending power dramatically increases into almost the life of luxury at that salary level. Now, take that shit away. You make 70, she makes maybe 60, 70, all the same, doesn't matter. Both of you combined barely can afford to make a decent life that one person should be living, yet it takes two incomes. And by yourself, you probably got a fucking roommate or a shit box. So just to have something considered decent, it takes the income of two people. Now you want to throw the other shit on top, a nest egg. You got bills from college, graduating, and you want a kid on top of that. Multiple kids on top of that. With what money? Where? In what time? All our problems come down to the economy, dude. All this other shit just stems from that, literally. But politicians won't tell you. The politicians will say the right says it's the loony left and their stupid progressive policies. The stupid retard progressives on the left will say it's the right and their blah, 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 whatever the fuck it is. And they all just point the finger at each other. Vote for me. I'll do something better than the next guy. Hey, we got 100 years of the country going to shit. None of you are capable of shit. We need a completely different. We need to reform the system radically. Because if we don't, we're not going to be actually anything at all. Population size will reach zero. No matter how many people you bring here, this is how fucked up our countries are. Even with a mass importation of immigrants, by the next generation of their children have the same birth rates as the natives. So you bring in a people from a population where they're having 7, 8 kids a woman, their kids will end up having 1 or 2 max. And by then, their grandkids will have 0. What the fuck? Just saying. We'll see you guys on the next one.
He ain't wrong. He is not wrong.